the mental conditioning movement and what we do. I'm going to keep it very brief, but this is really, really, really important just to kind of tell you how we came about formulating the mental conditioning movement. When I graduated from college in 1990, we ain't gonna get into that. I was a computer engineer, and I worked down on Wall Street, and I worked in corporate America. I'm a boy from Queens, New York, and I come from a blue-collar family. My mom and dad, my dad worked for the post office for 50 years, my mother worked for the telephone company for 20 years, so I had a blue-collar mentality. When I went to corporate America, I see something different, and it was powerful to me because I learned something different. I learned a different mindset. Fast forward 7 years after that, I joined the New York City Police Department. I did that for 20 years. I just retired 2 weeks ago. Thank you. But during the course of those 20 years, I saw another mindset. And yes, unfortunately, I had to tell people, you know, you got to turn around, put your hands behind your back. But what I would do is I would go into those cells and I would talk to those people. This is what formulated the mental conditioning movement, because the mindset of those individuals that I met on Wall Street and the mindset for those individuals that I unfortunately had to put in the jail cell, that was the only difference in where they were sitting, how they thought. And I want people to really understand that. How we thinking, that's why you guys are sitting out here today. That's why the people who were supposed to come that didn't come. So I want you guys to really understand that. We'll get into that. Thank you again for having me up here.
Mr. Allen, this question. Explain the mental conditioning movement and how it helps individuals retain their minds to handle stress, trauma, and adversity.
Yes, so.
And then what is mental resilience also?
Good, thank you. The mental conditioning movement is a powerful piece. It's just mental conditioning itself. There's a word that, I've been around and listening to a lot of these workshops, and there's a word that keeps coming up, and that word is understand. When we're talking about mindset, this is great because we live in a day and age, there's two pieces. There's good news and there's not so good news. The good news is that we live in a day and age where we talk about mental wellness, we talk about mindset. Everybody knows what that means now. That's not something that we're like, what are you talking about? But here's the key. We must understand what our mindset means to our forward progress in our lives. Once we are able to understand that, then we're able to go to different places in our lives that we never in a million years thought that we can accomplish. As you look around the room and you see accomplished people, just James just walked in the room. When I see people like that, there's a presence that just walked in the room because I admire her mindset to accomplish the things that she accomplished. Let's give her a quick round of applause. That's not physical, that's mental. And we have to condition our minds for success. We follow 4 principles. I have a mental conditioning gym in which we train our minds. And in that gym, we follow 4 principles. I'm going to give it to you. The first principle is self-evaluation. We must understand who we are. I'm going to add a word to that. It's important. Honest self-evaluation. We can lie to ourselves, but we're going to mess up the rest of the principles. Number 1 is honest self-evaluation. Number 2, decision-making. When we know who we are, we sharpen our decision-making to get to where we need to go. Number 3, big picture. When we know what our big picture is, I hate to keep referencing her, but it's important. These are things that this James had to know. I know who I am. I know who I want to be. I'm sure along her journey, let me be clear. And if I'm wrong, she can step up and tell me. The decisions are not easy, but there's clarity that comes involved with training your mind. There's clarity that becomes involved with understanding your big picture. And as many times, I promise you, you will get knocked off the course. Yeah. Number 4, stay the course. How do you do that? You must have excellent self-evaluation to allow you to make decisions that really, really are close to who you are. And I can keep my big picture in sight. I can stay the course, resilience. That's how you have resilience, to be able to train. But let me be clear, you have to train for that. You can't just wake up and just say, well, I'm going to be the Attorney General. It don't work like that. I wish it did, because otherwise all of us in here be the Attorney General, right? But we have to train for that. Everybody up here, all of these positions, where we standing, where we're sitting, whether it's good or bad, take that responsibility to understand that we have to train our minds for that forward progress.
Mr. Elliott, can you tell us about generational beliefs and cultural norms that have led to stigma around therapy and emotional vulnerability?
Yeah, that's a very important question, the stigma. I know that's a big thing. We talked about that, the stigma of, getting help, the stigma of, mental wellness. That's a big problem. And of course, it is generational. We just talked about that. I believe this, first and foremost, I'm going to set a foundation and talk about parenting and generational parenting. I tell people this all the time. We are our children's very first mental conditioning coach. We are our children's very first mental conditioning coach. Whether you want that job or not, you hired, and you can't be fired. Ever. So if you leave, you're still training that child's mind. Right. So it's important and imperative for us to, again, and we use that word again, understand how important it is to train our minds for success and understanding the big picture. I want to go back to what the doctor said a few minutes ago. That's powerful to me, what he said, and anybody who comes to my gym, I don't call them clients, I call them fighters, because I believe we're all fighters of life. And sometimes a fighter will come in, and I had a fighter one time come into my gym and we were talking about marijuana. And the fighter said that, I know for sure that marijuana is holding me back. That's powerful to me. Now we gotta work on what you're doing about that. She had excellent self-evaluation to admit that. But what are you doing about that? Think about how powerful that is, that I'm identifying this is a problem, but I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, that's insane.
Hold on a second, we got to thank you. Then we need some work there. The stigma, we gotta understand the big picture. I wanna be the best that I can be. I want everybody in this room to be the best they can be. And if that means I gotta go talk to a doctor, so be it. And we have to encourage each other, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend. Yo, something wrong, something's going on. I get in trouble sometimes. I was speaking at an event, and I was talking about self-evaluation, and one of the brothers raised his hand and said, we certain things we can't do. So you can't expect us to be able to evaluate ourselves. I agree with that 100%. But that's self-evaluation already that said, hold on a second. I got a problem that I can't solve. I need somebody to help me. That's self-evaluation. What are you going to do about it? When we sit in these rooms, I get really fired up and I get really frustrated because we got the tools. We're not using them. We have the facilities to train our minds. We're not going to the gym. That's nobody's fault. We gotta get into the gym to understand, but that's the key word. If we don't understand why the work is being put in, we're not gonna do it. That's generational. If our parents are not letting us understand something's going on with you, you need to go to the doctor to figure out what's happening. If our parents are not giving that, our first mental conditioning coach is not giving that, why would I do that? This is important, and so generational is important. I'm going to end it by taking it to another level. When we talk about, you hear that term, wealth. That's not physical. I can give anybody in this room $1 million right now in their pocket, but if you don't know, we'll talk about that later. But if you don't know what you're doing with that money's going to be gone. I have 2 sons. I try to pass down to them mindset. If I can teach them, you know what? Show them how to really make 100,000. It's not $1 million, but then they can show their kids how to get 500,000. And we're not gonna lose that money because that's generational wealth. So not only do we have to have generational wealth, we have to have generational mindset to get rid of these stigmas. Yeah, just briefly, I'll leave you guys with just one word that's very important to our mindset, and that's clarity. Clarity is very important. We have to train our mindset for clarity. It's impossible for us to go through life believing that we're going to always be clear. But that's where the mental muscle comes in, that we have the ability, when the road is raining very, very hard, it's getting ready to snow out there, when it starts snowing out there, you have to make sure your windshield wipers are working. But our mindset of that windshield wiper and that strength that we build is what cleans our life to, again, not make it easy. Decisions are going to always be hard. But the biggest thing is when we can see clearly, we push everything aside and we know who we are. We can enhance our decision-making skills. We have that big picture in mind. Clarity is the most important thing to build championship mindset. Everybody in this room is a champion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.